Hello friends, I am your host Mr. Gaurav. Welcome to my channel Vedic Astrology Guru. On this channel, I will be telling you about Indian Vedic Astrology, its deepest secrets and a lot of advanced techniques. So to keep yourself updated with the latest content, kindly subscribe to my channel. And if you have any queries, any doubts, you can always mail me at vedicastrologyguru7@gmail.com. And yes, your special comments are always welcome. Kindly leave one of those down below in the comment section. So let's start to do some interesting videos about Vedic astrology. Welcome to another wave of timing of events in a horoscope. In this wave, I would be discussing transit of dasha lord Jupiter from moon chart in the 12 houses. If there is a major Mahadasha of Jupiter prevailing, then what will be the effects of transit of Jupiter from the moon chart, from the moon sign of a horoscope in all the 12 houses? We are taking the Leo ascendant here. So in case if moon of a native is placed in the Leo sign in a horoscope, if moon is in Leo in a horoscope, then according to that Leo sign, you have to see the transit of Jupiter if the major period, the major Mahadasha is of Jupiter. Now as Jupiter stays for 1 year, approximately 1 year in one sign, so it will shift to all the other houses during the major period of Jupiter, the major dasha of Jupiter. Now because major dasha of Jupiter is for 16 years, this Jupiter will transit in almost about 15 to 16 different houses. It will travel from here up till the 12th house, then again. And what will be the effect of this Jupiter if the major period of Jupiter is running, the major dasha of Jupiter is running? So if Jupiter is placed in the first house in transit from the moon sign, if Leo is the moon sign, then this native will definitely try to gain new knowledge. Why? Because Jupiter is a significator of knowledge. He will become more wise. Why? Because for this ascendant, Jupiter becomes the 5th lord. Knowledge, this houses of knowledge, this houses of gains of knowledge. So he will become wise, he will become a deep thinker. He will take wise decisions. He will try to broaden his horizons. He will think of things to achieve better things in life. But in case if this Jupiter is afflicted by other planets, if malefics are aspecting the planets, then definitely the results will be modified. They may not be as good as what I am telling. So in case if Jupiter transits to this, now if your Jupiter transits to the 2nd house, now if Jupiter transits to the 2nd house, now this is the house of finances, this is the house of speech, this is the house of food. Definitely there will be, the speech will improve. He will be able to emphasize what he is saying. He will be able to put his words against the others in a good way, in a sober way. And definitely, since this is the house of finances, the finances will improve. The food, the eating habits of the native will become, they will become better. He will eat for the betterment of his health. And in case if this is again afflicted, then the effects of this house will be hampered if the major period, the major Mahadasha of Jupiter is prevailing. Now in case if Jupiter is placed in the 3rd house, now this house shows your courage. Now Jupiter being the largest planet, the native will definitely do hard work to accomplish himself. Because Jupiter is the biggest planet, it will make the courage very big. He will try to put his stance against others. He will work very hard. There may be definitely travel for this kind of a native. But so all this is what we get if Jupiter is in the third house. Now if Jupiter is in the fourth house, Jupiter in the fourth house, this house is the house of your relationship with your mother. This house is the house of your vehicles. This is the house of your own house, your own place where you are living. So there can be a change in the place. Now there can be acquisition of a new vehicle. So if Jupiter comes into the fourth house, if Jupiter transits to the fifth house, definitely there will be, since this house also represents your children, your progeny, there can be a birth of a child at the house. If the native is married and the major dasha, the Mahadasha is of Jupiter, then in that case there can be a birth of child. If Jupiter transits the fifth house, there can be, the native may try to gain new knowledge. He may take admission into some school, some university to gain new knowledge about things. So if Jupiter transits the fifth house, so if Jupiter transits the sixth house, now this is a general analysis if Jupiter is transiting, because you have to see if Jupiter is exalted, Jupiter is debilitated, if other malefics are influencing or other benefics are influencing the Jupiter, the good and the bad results will vary accordingly. So you have to check out for that. But what I am telling you is a very general way that we analyze. So if Jupiter is in the sixth house, then there can be trouble from enemies, then there can be then some kind of illness, a new illness can surface. Native may fall ill, native may have to face a lot of competitions. If he is in a working environment, then he might have to see a lot of competitions there. If native is studying, then he might have to struggle a lot with his studies. Basically, this is the house of struggle. So the struggle in life increases a lot. So next, if Jupiter transits the seventh house. Now seventh house for men is for our wife, and for females, this house represents husband. Now if Jupiter is transiting the seventh house, then in that case a native may get married. There can be birth of a child, because this also, if you are already married, this represents your family, this represents your immediate life partner. So there can be an addition to it. Jupiter being the fixed significator of progeny, of children, this can basically a person may get a child, he may get a child, or in case he is not married, then he may get married. So what will happen if if the major Mahadasha is of Jupiter and Jupiter transits the 8th house from the moon sign, then there can be troubles, then there can be loss of finances, there can be illness to the family members. So basically Jupiter, if transiting in the 8th house, then it is not as good. So there can be a lot of troubles, there can be sudden issues, sudden troubles in life, sudden losses in life in regards to finances. So if Jupiter is in the 9th house, now 9th house is the house of perceptor. 9th house is one of the most benefic trines. So in this case, native may get a guru, native may get a new perceptor. So there, or maybe he may get a new boss at his working place. So this Jupiter will do a lot of good. Native will become a lot of new intelligence, a lot of new information will be given to the native. He may get involved into studying of new subjects as well. So Jupiter in 9th is generally, the transit of Jupiter in 9th, it is really very good. Okay, so if Jupiter transits the 10th house, now the 10th house is the house of profession. Now being the biggest planet in the solar system, this house is, and this house being the strongest kendra out of all the 4 kendras that I have explained earlier, Now Jupiter will make a lot of sudden changes at the professional front. This house represents your profession. This house represents your job. This house represents your business. So there can be some sort of changes, some sort of modifications at the workplace. There can be a change in the working style. There can be a kind of transfer. There can be, in case if this Jupiter is afflicted, then there can be loss of job. There can be a loss in the business. So Jupiter, if transiting here, you have to really watch out for that. Yes, if Jupiter is in the 11th, then since this Jupiter will definitely give a lot of boost in one's income, because 11th house is the house of income, and Jupiter being the largest planet, it expands the characteristics of those houses where it transits. So if Jupiter is in the 11th, it will definitely give a lot of boost to your income. It will give a lot of boost in your finances, because it is a house of friends. There can be, you can make new friends, people who are really intellectual. So you can make new friends with intellectual people. And since this Jupiter also aspects the 5th house, and the 5th house is the house of progeny, children, so there can be a birth of child at the home. So 11th Jupiter is really very good in transit. So now, if Jupiter is placed in the 12th house in transit, and you have a major Mahadasha running of Jupiter, then since this house is the house of expenditures, this is the house of hospitalization, foreign travels, so there can be a lot of huge expenditure for the native. Why? Because Jupiter is also the fixed significator of wealth. So there can be a lot of expenses on behalf of native, but since expenditures are also done for investments, so this can be a wise investment. Why? Because Jupiter is a benefic planet. If malefics in the transit are affecting this Jupiter, if there are not good association with the Jupiter in the transit, then the expenses will not be very good. They won't be very wise. But if benefics are aspecting the Jupiter, if there is conjunction, if there are other good planets placed with the Jupiter or aspecting the Jupiter, then definitely there can be a good investment for which native may be spending. So generally, if Jupiter is in the 12th, then definitely huge expenses. There can be a foreign travel as well. Why? Because Jupiter is going to, you have to spend. So while making a travel, one spends a lot these days. So these are the effects of Jupiter. If there is a major Mahadasha of Jupiter, and from the moon sign, if Jupiter is transiting all the 12 houses, then these are the effects of Jupiter transiting the 12 houses.